Yeah, man, that was rough. It was a rough time. And for a couple of years, I kind of was just like, nah, Jesus, man. Like, there was a part of me that would not let Jesus go, but I wasn't rocking with, I wasn't rocking with Christ like that. I was still serving in church, and I played drums on my old worship team, and even started leading it after a couple of years. But I was still, I wasn't trying to share Jesus with anybody. I wasn't really trying to live that life. My mom was the one who really got me reading my Bible at first, and I just completely ditched that. So for the entirety of time that I was serving, I don't think I read my Bible until like my very last year of serving as a worship leader. And
Hello, and welcome to the Bookkeeper 247 podcast, where we explore the intersection of faith and culture through the lens of Christian hip-hop. I'm your host, Daryl Kemp, and today we have with us a very unique voice in Christian hip-hop, Q, who has been making more than a splash in our space with his authentic and impactful voice. Hailing from Las Vegas, Q brings a unique blend of harmony, rapid rhyme schemes, and catchy melodies to CHH. With themes revolving around relationships, anime, and faith. Welcome to the show, Q.
What's up? How's it going?
All right. Man, for the listeners out there, we know that a lot of you all are fans of Q. So, man, we just want to thank you for being on the show, and it's a blessing to have you on the pod. Without further delay, let's get it popping.
Yes, sir. It's a blessing to be asked, bro. I just, we've kind of talked on and off outside of this type of environment, and I was sitting back watching some of the interviews, and I think the one particularly that caught my attention was Baruch's, because his testimony is crazy. But yeah, and I was just all like, man, I didn't even realize Daryl was doing this. I need to I need to tune in more often. So it's a pleasure to be here and be asked to be a part, man, for sure.
Amen. Yeah, man, Baruch. Yeah, his testimony was crazy. So yeah, man, I thank you, Q, again, and I thank all the family who's tuning in. So we always start off with an icebreaker, and before we dive into your incredible journey in music, I have to ask you, if you could be any anime character, who would it be and why?
You'd be surprised how much I get asses. Probably not so surprised, and I never have like the right answer, what I feel like is the right answer for me, because anybody who actually watches anime, they know like a lot of the situations you wouldn't want to necessarily be in that world or be a main character. But I mean, I guess if I could choose anybody, it would probably be, and I know somebody's probably all like, it's gonna be Goku. No, it's not gonna be Goku. I would probably be the character that my series Inside Here of EPs is kind of based-ish on, put me in that position, is Ash Ketchum from Pokemon. I'm not like the hugest Pokemon fan. I couldn't tell you every single thing about it. I know quite a bit, but I've always kind of related. I've been watching Pokemon since obviously grade school. But like I could just relate to the story of like starting a new adventure, being scared, having to pick so many different options, and this is kind of sad, but it's not sad. My mom passed away when I was like 15, so I had to navigate a lot of my childhood like kind of on my own. Like my grandparents took care of me, but I always felt like I could relate because there's barely any parents in Pokemon. It's kind of wild. but but yeah, he was just going and learning different things, um, learning compassion, learning. He had this like strong sense of morality, and sometimes he faltered, sometimes he was stupid, sometimes and I just felt like that was really relatable to me, and that's kind of the angle that I came at when I started really getting into those EPs and finishing out like the booster pack and everything now, and the album. It's I probably just unlocked something I should have, but yeah, that's what it's that's who I would probably be. I feel like he's actually, even though he never aged, I feel like that's the character I related to the most, just because he grew so much in all of his time in that anime.
So yeah, Q. I hate to hear that about your mom transitioning and that you were at such a young age. But now I understand too why that would be, you know, one of your favorite characters or your go-to characters as well. You know. So how has anime influenced your music and your artistic style?
For me, uh, it was another outlet to combined with. So I'm a visual artist as well. I do the majority of my artwork for my songs, and I went to art school and everything like that. So visually, things like uh, anime and stuff has always like stimulated that part of my brain. Um, just I love, it's beautiful to me, like it's art, and music is also kind of that way to me. It's very expressive. I can see it vividly, vibrantly. So it just associated itself. It's just kind of what I know. I think people misconstrue sometimes. It's like I don't try to be something I'm not. Like, even though I grew up in the hood, I was never a gangster. You feel me? Like, I was never in a gang. I was never like affiliated really. I have some friends obviously, and I can't talk about other people that I have possibly associated, but but it's just kind of like I wasn't a part of that, so I would be disingenuous if I did anything else, because everybody that knows me, they know me as somewhat of an emo dude, kind of chipper, likes to make people laugh, and that's just me. So it just, that part just always associated, just because it was another love of mine, an appreciation for art, and it just kind of melded together, and I found my thing. And this was 8 years ago, I think, at this point, when I really discovered that I wanted to put those two together. And I can't say that, I don't know if it's really been that much of a benefit to me, as far as like marketing and all that stuff. It's certainly easier because other people, have to, I think, not put more effort, but just kind of like off the dome, they have to, like, I feel like other people, sometimes people have an advantage out the gate and they can be more creative, and they just think that way. My interest in anime has probably broadened that and made me just that much more creative aesthetically, I think. But yeah, that's honestly the association with the music is just, I relate with some of the storytelling, um some of the feelings that come in the nuance of anime that people don't talk about because they think it's like super just kind of staunch, like narrow. They think it's in one lane. They don't think there's levels to it. But there is a lot of nuance in even a anime like Pokemon. That's why I said I can learn from Ash Ketchum and the things that he learned in the show. Even though, you know, nowadays it's like that show's quite literally for like some of the show was like quite literally for like toddlers and stuff like that. And I saw something where they were all like, hey man, like you should be watching Pokemon because this and this is happening and it's actual storytelling. And yeah, I'm like, oh, okay, cool. That's dope. I'm probably still not gonna, you know. but yeah, that's how a long-winded way of saying how my music relates with anime. I just incorporate because there's a lot of nuance in it that people don't pick up on that I can relate to and link to the music because, you know, they deal with themes of depression, haughtiness, like if you're too proud, like being able to level up in certain ways through training with us. That's, you know, reading, praying, going to different levels of life that Jesus presents you with and growing, getting stronger. So that's the kind of stuff that I associate with it, even though there's mad other people that have done it before me and and are doing it now, but I guess it's just more popular now.
Man, that's dope, and that's a dope perspective too. And man, I feel like this question right here about anime, right, is something you could tie into your own comic book of life. So what's it like being from Sin City fighting sin?
Enter the world of Pamela Douglas, where life is a roller coaster ride of emotions, from heartache to hope. Follow Pamela's journey through love, loss, and everything in between in the pages of the Pamela Douglas story by Daryl Kemp. In the first chapter, you'll find yourself transported to the town of Birmingham, Alabama, where the Douglas family grapples with poverty and family tensions. Kemp's emotional intensity paints a vivid picture of the hardships Pamela endures and the tenacity she embodies as she overcomes them. You won't want to put this gripping and inspiring book down. So if you're ready for a journey through the depths of the human experience, join Pamela on her remarkable journey of triumph over adversity. The Pamela Douglas story is a must-read for anyone who craves a powerful and moving story that will leave you breathless. For more details, sign up for our newsletter so that you can be alerted when the book drops. Now, back to the show.
Right here about anime, right, is something you could tie into your own comic book of life. So what's it like being from Sin City fighting sin?
Being from here isn't too... Okay, I can't say that. It is different from... I was about to say, it's not too different from where everybody else is. It is. I mean, a lot of people don't grow up seeing the legendary billboard when you come into Vegas with the butts that are across the across the thing every day when you go to school in the 3rd, 4th grade. So like, so there's stuff here like that. I would say I'm glad that they fixed to a certain extent a lot of that stuff because they're trying to make it more of a family. It's saying, you know, I wouldn't want my daughter like staring at a bunch of stuff random. But it was and still is kind of a trial in itself. I think that it gives you the opportunity because there are a lot of spirit-filled, Christ-filled churches here that are starting to bubble. And my church, City Light, we're starting to really put a foot in the community and do, you know, what God has telling us to do. But yeah, there's a Christ hub here, and I think that made it that much better for me growing up here, because I think people think that it's just nothing but debauchery. But my mom was not having that. I'm telling you, she was not having that. Like, of course, I screwed up and I got into things that I probably shouldn't have gotten into at an early age. But, you know, for a single mom, like, she held it down. Like, I don't think I even knew how to pronounce the word pornography until I was like 12 or 13. I didn't even know what the word was. So I was just like, yeah, man, it was crazy. Like, my youth pastor showed us at the time. It didn't make sense that he had this, but it was a VHS, and we were all like, why you, because we had DVDs, you know, like, we were like, why you got this VHS? So it was an old video about like the dangers of pornography. But I was like ahead of my class, like reading all that stuff, Like, I go up to the video, I was like, the dangers of pornography. What is that? And he goes, what do you mean? You've never heard of? And I was like, nah, what is that? And he was just all like, dude, God bless your mom, bro. I was just all like, I don't know what you're talking about. And then when we watched the video, I knew what was up. But yeah, man, it was, my mom kept me, I would say, guarded, covered, for the majority of my childhood, you know, until she passed. That wasn't
That you know, it leads me into my next question, but you just explained a lot. But I was gonna ask you, what was your upbringing like before your mom transitioned and after your mother transitioned?
Me and my mom were, it's just kind of like if anybody can relate to having a single parent, like, you just kind of grow up more of almost like a friend type relationship instead of just full on like, mom, dad, they're telling me to do this, telling me to do that. My mom definitely did discipline and tell me how to go as a child. And we, you know, and I knew the difference between a friend and my mother, you know what I mean? But that was kind of what it was. It was just me and her. For the extension of the time that I knew her to be. So that's kind of how it was. It was like we would do devotions. She was the one who really got me into music, because she used to be a songwriter and wrote for a bunch of different people that I'm still finding out today. I was just like, what? You wrote for who? And the people have heard time that were like super big, and that part's really cool. My dad's always said that it literally is in your blood, because he played bass for a pretty famous band too. But like it just, that was just the relationship that we had. I honored her, but I was still a knucklehead kind of growing up. And after she had passed, it was kind of, that was when I started experiencing my little spiral. You know, you lose a relative that you're really close to. You lose a parent, who's just, you know, the person you're supposed to be most connected to is a relative. You know, I was 15. I just turned 15 that year, and it was it wrecked up everything, shook everything. But for me, because I was so embedded in church, and like my family, so to speak, was like the church family, literally. I was fortunate enough they didn't let me go too far, you know. I remember right after she went, like, it was like goodness, I think probably about I want to say 6-7 months before I went back to school, because I had all this stuff I had to deal with. I was instantly catapulted into being an adult, having to make certain decisions, having to think about how things were going to be. Meanwhile, because I'm staying with my grandparents, they took me in, and my dad offered, he said, if you want to come out to where I'm at, you can come out here, or you can stay with your grandparents. I know you're at school and you don't want to, uproot or anything like that. So, and I'm glad he gave me the choice, because if I would have, so he lives in Florida, and I know for sure if I would have grown up out there, I would have been not me. I would have gotten in trouble. But yeah, so it took a minute for me to go back to school, dealing with that stuff, and then just being back in the right frame of mind to where I could actually learn and finish high school, or go into my coming junior year. But yeah, man, that was rough. It was a rough time, and for a couple of years I kind of was just nah, Jesus, man. There was a part of me that would not let Jesus go, but I wasn't rocking with I wasn't rocking with Christ like that. I was still serving in church, and I played drums on my old worship team, and even started leading it after a couple of years, but I was still, I wasn't trying to share Jesus with anybody. I wasn't really trying to live that life. My mom was the one who really got me reading my Bible at first, and I just completely ditched that. So for the entirety of time that I was serving, I don't think I read my Bible until my very last year of serving as a worship leader. And yeah, that was for probably 4 or 5 years. So, but yeah, man, that's how it was. And I think just that community of church and my friends from back then, they held me down. They kept me centered.
Yes, sir. Yeah, man, that's tough, man. That's tough. And I could see how emotional that could be. But I could also see how you can be saddened of the transition of your mom, and how it could be difficult at your age, or at any age, to be honest with you. When you lose a loved one like that, I could even see though, even though you didn't say this, but I could see how you could be angry with God. So as we move into this segue, I love to give the opportunity to the artists to tell their testimony. Tell us, Q, what was your coming to Jesus moment?